Haven't filed taxes in 6 years. Illustrious Bug says, due to an extremely turbulent period of my life, I did not file taxes since 2020. I've had multiple W-2 and 1099 jobs within that time frame. After missing the deadline this year, what is the best way to start dealing with this and get caught up on my taxes? Good question, Illustrious Bug. And you're in the same spot that many, many people we talk to at Choice Tax Relief are in every single day. I would say about 30 to 40% of the folks we help have at least one year of past due tax returns, and more often they have multiple years like you do. So I would say where to start. Well, first of all, you probably do have a filing requirement for every year. If you have, if you were working, right, you were probably over the filing threshold amounts. So you probably have a filing requirement for each of these years. Kind of somewhat, let's just say lucky for you, 6 years is kind of the exact window that the IRS is looking for you to get compliant with, okay? Under IRS Policy Statement 5-133, the IRS says, look, if you file the last 6 years of returns, to the extent they're required, of course, we'll generally consider you in compliance for tax resolution purposes. You get into some kind of agreement with us on these 6 years, an installment agreement, CNC offer and compromise, whatever, then they'll generally not look past 6 years back. Okay, that's just IRS policy. It could change at any time. Okay, but that is current IRS policy. So where do you get started with this? Okay, well, the first thing I would say you should do is pull your wage and income transcripts from the IRS. Okay, you can do that online. You can do that over the phone. You can send in a mail-in request. Okay, probably the easiest way to do it is online. Okay, as well as your account transcripts for each year. And then, as you look at those wage and income transcripts for each year, you'll see on those the name. Well, it might be redacted, but the part of the name and of everybody who issued you a tax document, such as a W-2 or 1099. This should jog your memory. Now, the W-2s I'm not so concerned about, right? Because those you just got to input into your tax software. The one thing the W-2s on the wage and income transcripts won't have is your state withholding information. So if you live in an income tax state, hopefully you'll be able to pull those old W-2s to get that state withholding information, right? But the 1099s are more of a concern because you presumably had business expenses that you could claim against this 1099 income. And if you do, you're going to need to go through your bank statements and things to put together a record of your expenses for all your 1099 activities for each year, or else you'll be overpaying in taxes when you actually file these returns. Okay, and that will hit you. It could hit you doubly hard because not only are you going to miss out on those deductions for the calculation of how much you owe in taxes, but because the penalties and interest is based on how much you owe, you're going to be inflating your penalties and interest as well. Okay, so I'd highly recommend that you invest in some kind of bookkeeping service. Maybe hook them all up to QuickBooks or something. If there's not too many transactions, maybe just a spreadsheet would be fine. You can maybe try to use something like ChatGPT or Claude to kind of help you organize those expenses. Although, from experience, I can say you're going to really need to double check the work there and make sure things are categorized correctly because they do get things wrong. You can hire a professional bookkeeping service, et cetera, et cetera. And then at that point, once you have an idea of your deductions and things, now it's just a matter of filing your returns, right, to the best of your ability. I would recommend at this point, I'd probably prioritize 2025's return, right? I'm recording this in April. If you owe on that return, you're going to be hit with the failure to file penalty. For all these returns, frankly, but the failure to file penalty is 5% a month or part of a month that your tax return is late, up to a max of 25%, right? So if you get your 2025 return filed before May 15th, then you'll only be hit with 1 month of failure to file penalty, okay? Which is more ideal than stretching that out. So, I would probably go that route, try to get 2025 filed as quickly as possible. The complication there, of course, is that sometimes you have amounts that carry forward from year to year. For example, if you have a large capital loss one year that exceeds your capital gains, you can apply $3,000 that capital loss against your ordinary income, but anything else would be carried forward to future years. Okay. That said, not the end of the world. If you just file that 25 return, just using the tax documents you have, and then maybe later after you've done the rest and calculate any carry forward amounts of 25, you amend your 25 return to update the carry forward. Some people, well, sometimes we even do this for clients. They don't want to amend. We'll just update the carry forwards, for the next year. So, but if you just have 1099 W-2 income, unless you have something else going on, I can't really imagine there's very many carry forwards, unless maybe you have a large home office expense deduction or something, and you can't use it all, and then gets carried forward to the next year. But that's may or may not be the case. It's somewhat rare. What else? Okay, and then you got to file them now. Barring the 2025 thing, right, to minimize the failure to file penalty there, I would kind of recommend you just kind of prepare them all at once and then filing them all at once. So you kind of get the notices all at once, and then you can get into a resolution with the IRS all at once, right? Because IRS isn't going to cut a deal with you or even let you set up an installment agreement for these years until all of them are filed and processed by the IRS, which could take some time. Okay, which could take some time. Now, about the account transcripts, why I told you to pull those is so that you can look on each year to see if you made any payments, right, for the year. Maybe you forgot. Oh, yeah, I did make an extension payment back in 2021 or whatever. Another thing is the stimulus payments, recovery rebate credit, things like that. In 2020 and 2021, the government issued 3 distinct stimulus payments. If you got all your stimulus payments, then you're good. You can ignore what I'm going to say about this credit. But if you didn't get all the stimulus payments you were entitled to, you could take something called the recovery rebate credit in 2020 for the first 2 stimulus payments, and in 2021 for the third stimulus payment for the amount of the stimulus payment that you did not receive. Same thing in 2021. You'd want to see how much the advanced child tax credit you collected in 2021, if that's relevant to you. And that information, how much stimulus you got, how much advanced payment of child tax credit you got, would be on your account transcripts for 2020 and 21. Obviously, 2020 would be the first 2 stimulus payments. 2021 would be the third stimulus payment and the advanced payment of the child tax credit. And then file them. And when you file them, there's kind of a difference of opinion in, is it okay to e-file all of, the ones I can e-file, which at this point you can only e-file 23, 24, and 25. You have to paper file the rest. The problem with e-filing, some and paper filing some is they get processed at different times. Okay, so you're going to be getting collections notices for the e-filed returns before the IRS has probably even processes the paper filed returns. But despite the fact you're getting collection notices for the New Year's, you're not going to be able to enter into a resolution for them until the paper returns are filed. So there can be kind of a timing issue there. So some people just like to paper file all of them. If you do paper file all of them, or, and obviously in the case of the ones that you have to paper file because you can no longer e-file them, I would recommend sending them in separate envelopes via certified mail. Okay. So that's, one thing that I would recommend, so that, if you send them all in one envelope, there's just a risk of human error that they're going to just, the 22 and 23 returns, let's say they're kind of stuck together. The person sees a 22 return, says, oh, they sent us 2022, and doesn't even flip through the pages to look for other years of returns. Okay. All right. So I think that about covers it. And all those expenses, if there's just no way you're going to be, or let's say you're unable to put together a good set of books, right? You've lost the records, whatever. There's things we do at Choice Tax Relief for folks in that situation, where we can reconstruct their expenses using kind of a best effort, looking at kind of what the expected expenses are for their industry, maybe incorporating some aspect of their geographical area, things like that. So that is a service we provide here at Choice Tax Relief. And if this whole process just feels overwhelming to you, then hire a professional, right? Like I said, like a high minority of our clients, probably 30-40%, have back tax return issues that they haven't filed, right? So we get them fixed up there by our wonderful tax prep team, and then our legal team, right? Once everything's processed and everything, our legal team negotiates some kind of resolution for them with the government. Okay, so if you have multiple years of unfiled tax returns you're looking to get filed, you qualify for a free consultation with us here at Choice Tax Relief. Just give us a call, 866-8000-TAX, to schedule that free consultation, or you can use the link in the description to book a free consultation. I welcome those. We love those. I have some other videos here on the left-hand side of the screen about how to file back tax returns, what to do with unfiled returns, and things like that. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.